Polls suggest that the American public is war-weary and wants us to withdraw from overseas commitments. I think that some of the commitments we made in the last decade were probably excessive and hurt us more than they helped us. I think some of the conflicts that some Americans would like us to get into, like Syria, for example, they're not vital national interests, and the American people are probably right. I also think that East Asia is where the action is, and that our future as a country is at stake, and so we need an active and ever-present policy.
In 1991-92, we pulled all of our troops out of the Philippines. And the Philippines were a central part of our Asian strategy, right? We had troops up in the northeast in Japan, and we had troops in the southeast in the Philippines. We had a very balanced strategy. We pulled our troops out. Did America's role in Asia come to an end? No. Did Asia go to war? No. On the other hand, almost immediately we saw the Chinese begin to become much more assertive about their territory, and over the period of 20 years have moved to a position where they are de facto taking over islands that are disputed with other countries. So we simply have to ask, and maybe we don't know the answer, what's the red line? How far do you want to go before you say, you know what, things have changed? And that's a question we always face. We faced it in Europe in the 1930s. We let a ton of territory go before one day we said, this is the red line. Maybe the same thing will happen in Asia. Will it be more difficult because of economic interdependence? Sure, but that's what we also said in 1914. We said the world can't go to war. Europe can't go to war. It's too economically interdependent. And then we slaughtered ourselves for 4 years. And then we did it again 20 years later.
I think by any measure, the relevance and importance of Asia for the 21st century is crystal clear. Fastest rising middle classes, fastest accumulation of wealth, population growth, challenges to national security, implications of climate change, energy use, innovation, every possible manifestation of human progress and development is going to play out in the Asia-Pacific region. My own personal view is that the United States wants to play an active role in that history as it's written. There are critical regions that require American leadership, American engagement, obviously Europe, Middle East, Latin America, Africa, all important to our national purpose. But it is also the case that no other region tends to reward investments of time and effort by the United States like Asia does.
Asia is now increasingly recognized as the engine that's driving economic development in the world. It is likely to continue to be into the 20th century. This is in some ways the most dynamic and most important part of the world. If the United States were somehow to be excluded from Asia, and in particular if Asia were to be dominated by a country with hostile intentions or with interests that converged dramatically from our own, this would be damaging to our strategic interests as well.
The Pacific Ocean is not a barrier to threats against us. North Korea is developing nuclear weapons. They're developing ballistic missiles. Over the next decade, they want to put those nuclear weapons on ballistic missiles. And it's not to hit Europe, it's to hit the west coast of the United States.
America's first line of defense is not Alaska and California. America's first line of defense is in Asia.
When you think about the consequences of the United States pulling back, you have to then appreciate the sweep of history in Asia, including China's dominant role through most of history, and the fact that it doesn't accept its neighbors as equals. The United States has been the dominant power in Asia-Pacific since the end of World War II, has ensured that those historical grievances did not come to the surface. If we pull back, we are guaranteed that some of those historical animosities, some of the distrust, some of the racism, some of the bad blood that has been spilled between these countries and peoples will definitely come out. That's why we see tensions right now between Japan and China. That's why we see tensions between Vietnam and China. Those tensions are there, but they're suppressed. We deter open conflict from breaking out.